The Crazy Cable from Misty's Cozy Cables Cardigan. This is what it looks like. It takes 28 rows and it's done over 20 stitches. These are just extra stitches on the end here, just a sample piece, but that is what the Crazy Cable looks like. How you do it, if you've downloaded my pattern, you will see the chart, and on the chart really isn't anything fancy. This is not, I'm not going to teach you how to read a cable chart, but in case you don't understand a couple of the key symbols in there, I'm just going to run over a few of those. So I've knit a sample piece up to row 2, and I think we'll knit together on this rows 3, 4, and 5, and that will give you all of the difficult cable bits on that pattern. So starting at row 3, first I'm just doing some end stitches just for fun, just to get to where the cable would be. Okay, so row 3 on the cable has you purling 3, easy enough. So you purl the 3. Brilliant. Okay, and then what it has is a symbol there for a 3-stitch LPC, which means a 3-stitch left purl cross, which means that there's the 3 stitches, there's 2 knit and a purl, and so those 2 knit are going to have to lean to the left. So we'll do this 2 ways. One is a cable needle, which I don't like using, but if you prefer that, that's up to you. So you take the 2 that were knit and you put them in the front because they're going to be a left lean. You work the purl stitch and then you work your 2 knits off of that cable. So that's how you would do it with a cable needle. All right, and then continuing on the pattern, then is a 3-stitch RPC, which means a right purl cross. So in this case now, those 3 stitches, purl and 2 knits, you want the 2 knits to angle to the right. So that means if you're using the cable needle, that the purl stitch would now go to the back, and then I would knit these 2, and then I purl the one that is on the cable needle. It is purled. Beautiful. Okay. I'm not going to use that cable needle now because I don't like using them. I really don't. Okay, then next on the pattern is purl 2. All right, and then we're basically repeating what we did before. So we're starting with a 3-stitch LPC or left purl cross, but I don't like using the cable needle. It just makes it so much faster if you get used to doing cables without it. So in this case, these guys, the 2 knits need to cross over to the left because it's a left lean. So I insert my needle into the purl stitch behind those 2 knit ones, pass those 2 knit ones over, put the purl one over like that, and then I purl and knit and knit, and then you have to do a 3-stitch right purl cross. So there's the 3 stitches. Those 2 knit ones have to lean to the right, so that means I will pick these 2 up because that purl has to be in the back. Slide it off, pick up the purl, rescue it, and then pick up the 2 knits and knit them because now they were leaning to the right, and finish by purling that one. So I did it the same way, just one time using a cable needle and the other time not. All right, and when we finish that, then there's 3 purls and you're at the end, which is what I've done. Perfect. And that was row 3. So that that was the 3-stitch RPC and the 3-stitch LPC. Now I may as well just finish this off because we're going to do row 4 together. The nice thing about the Crazy Cable chart is you don't really have to follow any of the even rows or the wrong side rows. I mean, they're written out there for you in case you get confused, but the trick to doing the Crazy Cable chart is you really only have to read the odd side or the right side of the chart. And as for the odd side, all you are doing is knitting exactly what is the row preceding. That's all you're doing. So you don't even have to look at it. I mean, I could, like if you start looking at it, if you start looking at it on row 4, it would say that you have to knit 4 stitches. But I can tell I have to knit 4 stitches because I'm looking at it, right? So I am just going to knit exactly what I see. So those are knits. And this one was crossed over, but you can tell it's a knit stitch. So I knit it. And if I look carefully, I can tell that that's a purl. So I just do a purl. Just do what it is. That's a purl. Or you can follow the chart. That's a purl. And this one you can tell was crossed over, but you can also tell it's a purl. So I will purl that. You just do what is there. That's a knit. And that's a knit. That's a knit. This one was crossed over because you can tell it's being pulled, but I can look at it and I can tell that that is a knit stitch. Even though it's been crossed over, it's a knit. That's a purl. Purl. That's a purl. It's been it looks pulled a little, but it's all part of it being crossed over on the other side, but I can tell that's a purl. So I just purl it. That's a purl. That's a knit. And that's a knit. That's a knit. That's a knit. That's it. We're done. I mean, if you wanted to, you could follow the chart. It would do the exact same thing, but that's the way the chart is written. Every even row or wrong side row, all you are doing is exactly what the stitch underneath is. Easy like that. Okay, so that was row 4. Now row 5, just some standard cable chart reading, but I'll walk you through it. So I'm just doing my little 4 end stitches that I put on here for fun. Okay, there we go. So row 5. If you look at row 5, it says to purl 4. So that's what we'll do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. And then if you look at the symbology there, that symbol is C4B, which means a cable for back. So that means if you're using a cable needle, you would take your cable needle, slip those 2 and hold them to the back, and then you would knit the 2 that are on the left hand needle, and then you knit the 2 that you've held on your cable needle like that. But I don't like using cable needles. I'll continue on without it. So from there the pattern says purl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, 4. Okay, and then again it's a right slant, so it's a C4B, and so you again the cable needle would be held to the back, and I don't feel like doing that. So how I do it is my needle will insert into the 2 behind these 2, and I'm going to insert it like those 2 are now at the back. They're not yet, but they will be. Slide everything off, rescue those guys, put them to the back, and then slide it on top like that, and do your 4 knit stitches. This is just standard, and the only other cable pattern on there is a C4F, which is a cable for front, and it just means that instead of a right lean, it's a left lean, so that you're putting them on the cable needle and you're holding them to the front. Just standard stuff. And to finish off row 5, it is 4 purls, and we're done. And I will just knit that to the end, and voila, there we go. And that is the beginning of the noose cable, the crazy cable, which ends up looking like that.